Turn to the lady from New Mexico for 5 minutes of questioning.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We should have named him Bernie.
Oh, the good people out there couldn't hear me defending the honor of Smokey Bear. So I'm going to say it again. I thought the chairman was coming for Smokey the Bear, who is from New Mexico's 1st Congressional District. But what he's referring to is fire suppression, which for the last half century has left our forests in a mess in terms of stewardship and stopping fires and catastrophic impacts from these fires. And so I'm grateful, as I said during the last panel, for this bipartisan effort to ensure that tribes are not only co-stewards, but actually stewards of the lands that are not only within their own jurisdictional boundaries, but also on lands that are currently under federal jurisdiction. But I want to use this opportunity, since we have so many wonderful guests with us who've traveled from across the country, to hear from you a little bit more. And I'd like to start with Chairman Lowe's. One of the things that we're hearing in New Mexico from tribes is that there actually has been funding freezes that are impacting forest stewardship. At Mescalero Apache, they had a BIA forest stewardship contract that was going to be very important for replanting areas that had been significantly damaged by some of the last forests. And so I wonder if you could share with us what impacts, if any, you're seeing on the ground in Michigan in terms of funding freezes, staffing reductions and chaos, and the proposed budget, both for Forest Service and BIA and other programs that you guys contract for.
Yeah, I appreciate your question. So we have seen an impact. We co-manage the Hiawatha National Forest with the U.S. Forest Service. It's comprised of about 800,000 square acres. As far as the impact that we've seen, when there's staffing cuts, when there's forced retirements, when there's reassignments, the partners that we work with for the Hemi-Boreal project, we're starting with new people, and it just delays things. So it's unfortunate, but we're doing our best to work through it.
And I know one of the big concerns that we're also hearing about in New Mexico is that even though this isn't USDA/Forest Service, it's a Department of Interior, has issued a consultation call on reorganization of BIA and to consolidate the current BIA district offices in half. And I think folks need to really understand that working in a nation-to-nation capacity with our tribes requires having boots on the ground. You have to have federal folks actually go visit with tribal councils and leaders to cut deals, do contracts, get stuff done. I wonder, I know you guys aren't here to testify on that specifically, but to the extent that you're able to, if we could just go down the line, if there's any additional information in the remaining time you'd like to share that we should be conscious of in terms of working with the administration to try to make this situation better in tribal consultation, would love to hear from you. So why don't we start here on the end?
Sure. We see this moment where we're at as an opportunity for greater partnership. That there is a recognized need, but that with that comes opportunity for new relationships and new kinds of relationships. So we're remain optimistic as we move forward.
Ms. Clark.
I agree with your statement that adequate consultation and adequate partnership requires people on the ground on both sides. And I would say that one of the things that is really important is making sure that folks in federal agencies have the knowledge and training and history with the tribes that they are working with. It is not simply having someone show up in a meeting space that's there to represent the federal government, but someone that knows anything about federal Indian law, knows about the people that they are there to negotiate and discuss with. And so having that longevity in positions is really critical.
Really appreciate that. Yep.
So the instability that we're seeing with this administration is causing chaos, for lack of a better word. So at the beginning of the year, we got notification that the IHS Sanitation Office in Sault Ste. Marie, along with the local BIA offices, were going to have lease cancellations. We called employees within those offices. They had no idea what was going on. And that's important because if those offices close, it impacts us. So Fast forward a couple months, those offices aren't closing, but that lack of transparency has a definite impact on our operations.
And the only thing I would add quickly is that we've got to have that administrative support for the federal government as well. So if we don't have folks in BIA central office that are processing feds, that are reviewing contracts, those same functions at the regional offices, that's the delays we've seen at Cawbill. It hasn't necessarily been because funding's been cut. We don't have people to process and move that money to the tribes.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you all for being here and for traveling and coming and testifying, and I look forward to working with my friends across the aisle to try to address some of these issues. Thank you.